At first glance, it looks like a typical traffic jam, rows of trucks stretching endlessly across the Kazakh steppe. But look closer. What you're seeing isn't ordinary congestion. It's the visible collapse of a key artery in Russia's war economy. This is happening right now, October 2025, at the Kazakhstan-Russia border. Satellite images and local footage confirm a staggering figure. Over 5,000 trucks are immobilized. 5,000. Each loaded not with produce or textiles, but with China-made electronics, semiconductors, and drone parts, the essential lifeblood of Russia's weapons factories. But here's the question no one dares to ask aloud. If Russia urgently needs these shipments and China is sending them, why has the flow stopped? The answer lies buried in months of quiet maneuvering. This disaster didn't materialize overnight. It began stealthily in mid-September 2025. At first, it was a minor nuisance, a few hundred trucks delayed. Then, within weeks, the queue exploded into the thousands. Highways turned into industrial graveyards. Parking zones overflowed. Drivers slept in their cabs as the steppe winds howled outside. Independent monitors put the figure even higher. 7,500 vehicles trapped between two borders, cargo rotting, contracts collapsing, and millions lost daily. This wasn't chance. It was methodical. Customs agencies from both nations launched full-scale inspections on nearly every truck, scanning manifests, prying open containers, and seizing anything remotely sensitive. For microchips and industrial machinery, the rejection rate hit 100%. Not one shipment made it through. Even harmless goods, clothing, household items, now take 3 to 5 days to cross a checkpoint that once cleared them in hours. What triggered this? Each government offers its own version of the truth, and all of them contradict. Astana's story blames Moscow. Kazakhstan says it's Russia that's creating bottlenecks by rechecking cargo already cleared by Kazakh customs. According to this view, Moscow's paranoia is to blame for the logjam. Moscow's version has shifted repeatedly. First, it denied any crisis, insisting that private firms were at fault for filing the wrong paperwork. But as the chaos deepened, the Kremlin pivoted, now accusing Kazakhstan of stalling the flow with unnecessary inspections. Yet beneath both narratives lies a third explanation, the one that makes everything fit. In January 2025, Russia quietly enacted a new regulation limiting foreign truck drivers, including Kazakhs, to just 90 days per year inside Russian territory. The clock starts ticking the moment they enter, and even time spent waiting in line counts. That means Kazakh drivers idling at the border for weeks are technically breaking Russian law. Thousands now face heavy fines or even arrest for overstaying. A Kazakh MP has already warned that entire transport firms could collapse under these penalties. To many in Astana, this feels deliberate, a thinly veiled attempt by Russia to cripple Kazakh logistics companies and hand their business to Russian or Belarusian firms. So what's really happening? It's all part of a calculated game of malicious compliance. Here's how it works. For months, Washington has quietly pressured Central Asian nations. Stop helping Russia evade sanctions, or risk losing access to the US dollar system. The message landed loud and clear. Kazakhstan, which depends heavily on Western trade and finance, couldn't afford to ignore it. But openly confronting Moscow would be suicidal. Then came Russia's fatal misstep, its obsession with border control and smuggling oversight. The Kremlin itself increased inspection levels to suffocating extremes. Astana saw its opportunity and followed suit, matching Russia's paranoia measure for measure. Officially, Kazakhstan claimed it was merely ensuring compliance with Russian customs regulations. In reality, it was tightening the noose. The result? Gridlock so absolute that neither side could move. Kazakhstan could now tell the world, with perfect plausible deniability, we're only following Russia's rules, and Putin had no one to blame but himself. Why does it matter? Because those stranded trucks hold more than goods. They hold the keys to Russia's ability to wage war. Let's rewind to 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. The West retaliated with the harshest sanctions in modern history, cutting Moscow off from high-tech imports, chips, optics, software, machine tools. Deprived of those components, Russia's defense industry began to wither. No chips meant no guided missiles, no advanced tanks, no drones. To survive, the Kremlin created an elaborate workaround called parallel imports. In essence, state-approved smuggling. Russia began buying restricted goods via third countries, mostly China, and rerouting them through places like Kazakhstan. For 2 years, that network sustained the Russian military machine. Day after day, convoys carried microchips, sensors, and processors across the Kazakh plains. But now, as of October 2025, that artery has been cut. To understand the fallout, travel east to Nizhny Tagil, home to the massive Uralvagonzavod tank plant. Inside its cavernous halls, dozens of half-assembled T-90M hulls stand frozen, silent monuments to the missing shipments. They lack the guidance systems, target processors, and chipboards that once came through Kazakhstan. Without them, they're just slabs of metal. Managers call Moscow for updates. The reply never changes. The shipment is stuck at the border. Production stops. Workers are sent home or told to sweep floors for pay. Independent analysis confirms what insiders whisper. The T-90M production line has collapsed. With no new electronics, the factory can't build or even upgrade modern tanks. The once proud plant now digs through Soviet-era warehouses, resurrecting T-72s and T-62s from the 1980s, relics of a vanished empire. At this rate, experts predict Russia's stockpile of repairable tanks will be exhausted by early 2026. The rot runs deeper. Across Russia, the defense sector is cannibalizing itself, stripping old equipment for parts, improvising with commercial components, and hoping the West won't notice. But the slowdown is visible on the front lines. Imagine a Russian armored brigade near Donetsk. It's lost half its tanks during the summer offensive. Reinforcements, the new T-90Ms, never arrive. Without them, the brigade faces NATO-supplied Ukrainian armor with obsolete equipment. Its defeat won't come from tactics or morale, but from a paperwork bottleneck thousands of kilometers away. Each truck stuck in Kazakhstan delays a factory. Each delayed factory starves a front line. Each starved front line pushes Russia closer to collapse. This is the brilliance of the West's grand strategy. A war of attrition fought through logistics, not bullets. The objective isn't to crush Russia overnight, but to suffocate it slowly, like an anaconda constricting its prey. Every sanction, every trade rule, every customs choke point tightens the coil. And Kazakhstan, whether by choice or necessity, has joined that constriction. For decades, Kazakhstan has balanced precariously between East and West, loyal to Moscow in name, pragmatic in action. Since 2022, though, its patience has snapped. It refused to recognize Russia's annexations, maintain neutrality in Ukraine, and deepen ties with China, Turkey, and the EU. Now, by paralyzing Russia's sanctions bypass route, Astana has made its boldest move yet, siding with its own future instead of Putin's past. The implications ripple far beyond Central Asia. Remember China, the so-called limitless friend? This crisis has exposed that partnership's fragility. Beijing's trade ambitions depend on smooth transit across Eurasia, the same highways now choked by Russian dysfunction. The Belt and Road Initiative, meant to link China to Europe, is now literally stuck in traffic. Each stranded truck represents lost profit for Chinese companies, missed deadlines, and damaged credibility, and it's forcing Beijing to reconsider its routes. The alternative? The Middle Corridor, a trans-Caspian trade route passing through Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Georgia, completely bypassing Russia. By transforming itself into a logistical dead end, Moscow is teaching its last ally a painful lesson. Russia is a liability, not a partner. And so, while the Kremlin fumes, China quietly redirects its cargo westward through nations that still function. Russia's isolation deepens. As of today, that endless convoy of stranded trucks has become a symbol, not just of a border crisis, but of a crumbling system. Russia is being crushed not by NATO's tanks or Ukraine's drones, but by its own bureaucracy, arrogance, and decaying alliances. Kazakhstan merely gave the final push. Every silent factory, every powerless brigade, every kilometer of frozen asphalt tells the same story. Putin built a fortress and locked himself inside it.